Welcome back, you guys, and on May 14th, we'll be getting ready to watch either the Western or Eastern Conference Finals. Also on that day, we're going to find out which lottery team will get the number one pick in the 2019 draft, which is most definitely going to be Zion Williamson. Now, because of the new draft lottery odds, the three worst teams have the identical odds to get picks 1 through 4. The only real benefit to having the worst record in the NBA right now is that you can't fall past the 5th pick. So the Knicks right now have the worst record, and they have the best odds of picking in the top 2, but they also could drop to 5, which would be a disaster. So which teams in the lottery can develop Zion and provide the ideal players around him that can maximize his skill set? It's simple, but it's also going to take some patience. With Zion's development, I'm thinking big. You want to develop him into a Giannis-like creator, but with shooters around him right away. I don't want to see Zion in a situation like Blake Griffin when he was playing next to DeAndre Jordan, or Giannis just a year ago, where the pieces don't exactly fit and they're kind of marginalized. If Zion is on a team with non-shooters, I can see him struggling more than he should, but if he's on a team with multiple guys that can shoot and he's allowed to go one-on-one or be a roll man in the pick and roll, then I'm expecting an easier transition. I'm looking at Zion as a non-shooter for at least the first 3 to 4 years of his career, so he needs that structure around him. I want the team that takes him to build the entire offense around his strengths. He's not a role player. You need to develop him into a superstar that he has the potential to become. The team that drafts him needs a center that's willing to take threes and space the floor for everyone else, and you need a point guard that can facilitate the ball to Zion. He's being underutilized in some ways as he's playing with other guys that need the ball. Here's his synergy shot chart where you can see where he's using his offensive possessions, and he's amazing at almost everything, but check the pick and roll ball handler and roll man section. Whichever team gets him needs to ramp up his usage in the pick and roll so you can have him make drop-off passes or score at the rim. You want to allow him to make mistakes and improve as a passer so he eventually can make reads off of double teams and help coverage like an elite player does. Now turn to the other side of the ball. He's got that vertical explosiveness and agility to defend forwards and small ball centers against certain teams, possibly. If he's able to defend those centers and rebound with him, it will allow the front office to surround him with more shooters since he can play up a position. We've been talking about his basketball skills and what the teams need to do to accommodate him. It's not just his on-court skills that make me think he'll translate to the NBA fine, it's also his focus and effort level when he's not featured with the ball. He plays hard all the time. Zion easily could have went into his one and done year like Ben Simmons did at LSU, where Ben was picking and choosing when to go hard. If Zion did the same thing, no one would really criticize him too much. But that's not how Zion is wired. The guy's always competing. Remember the debate a few months ago where people were saying Zion should stop playing and just focus on the draft? Here's what he had to say about that. I can't just stop playing. I'd be letting my teammates down. I'd be letting Coach K down. I'd be letting a lot of people down. If I wanted to sit out, I wouldn't have went to college. I came to Duke to play. Now apply that quote to whichever team drafts him. I get that it will be a different situation, but it falls in line of how I think Zion is going to carry himself in the pros. He's going to buy in. He already has experience playing within a team concept, which is important when all the great NBA teams have multiple creators. Let's talk about those teams in the lottery that had the foundation to make his transition to the league easier. So for the 5th spot, I went with the Cavs over the Suns, and I know this might sound crazy, but I slightly trust the Cavs front office and ownership more. I know people are tired of the Cavs getting the number 1 pick, but I'd rather see Zion in Cleveland than Phoenix. It basically comes down to I have zero faith in the Suns ownership or front office to properly field a team and offensive scheme that benefits all 5 players. The Suns are already having trouble getting DeAndre Ayton shot attempts. What's there to say this doesn't happen to Zion? Not to mention they might re-sign Kelly Oubre, who also likes to shoot and handle the ball. There's way too many young guys on Phoenix that are in a similar situation where they need to prove their body of work, and I don't want Zion to get caught up in that. I know you're not supposed to pick fit over best player, but Phoenix needs a point guard more than anything. The Cavs at least have an owner willing to spend money. You can't say that about Phoenix's owner. Kevin Love and Zion could run minutes together, giving Zion a stretch 5 and someone that can create offense as a passer. The main problem here in Cleveland is that they play with one of the slowest paces in the league. They are 28th in pace, so you'd have to adjust some things if they draft Zion. You can make an argument for Phoenix being higher, and I'd listen to it because they're talented, but I'm not putting faith in their management. Coming in at number 4, I have the Chicago Bulls, and immediately you'd have a nice group of young players to evaluate from and see how they'd fit. Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr., and Zion Williamson. That's a nice group. Like I said with the Suns, can the Bulls put together an offense that benefits all 5 players? There is something to having too many weapons, especially when it's a bunch of young guys playing for contracts or proving they are all-star players. Otto Porter is cool with playing in the background, but Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen, they really like to shoot. They need a point guard that can settle things down, make reads on the fly, and play in the background. Even with all the downsides, adding Zion in Chicago would be fun because we can find out if he'd be able to play small ball center next to Markkanen, who is a stretch 4, which means more space for him to use his strengths. We'll also be able to see some Wendell Carter and Zion frontcourt lineups. Those could show some promise on defense, but there's not much shooting there. If the Bulls look out and bring in Zion, hopefully the Bulls front office is smart enough to bring in a point guard that loves to pass. Third on my list, we got the New York Knicks. Now, it doesn't make much sense here as they don't have the perfect foundation, and they don't exactly have a point guard who's a creative passer. Even though it kind of seems like the Knicks front office is moving in a positive direction, I'm still slightly concerned, and you can easily see a scenario where Zion is hindered by the Knicks fielding a rough roster around him. But if we're factoring in everything that comes with playing in New York and the current roster construction, this could be a good thing. Zion would be a ratings king in New York, and you'd have a lot more national TV games with the Knicks. Plus, this is not exactly a situation like Phoenix or Chicago, where Zion would be dealing with too many mouths to feed on offense or playing next to veterans going to their next contract. The Knicks seem to be fine with continuing their development of young players even if nobody comes in free agency. Where Zion would help out the Knicks immediately is scoring in the paint. The Knicks are dead last in the NBA in 2-point percentage. Zion is shooting 74% from the field on 2-point shots. He fills an immediate need. When someone is going to the rim on the Knicks, there's nothing on the other team's scouting report that says, oh, we gotta send another body at him. Zion would definitely have that on his scouting report, and he can find shooters off the double teams. Also, the timing of this video, we don't know if the Knicks are getting any tier 1 free agents. That would impact Zion's development on the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson and Zion together sounds fun, but they would really need to look for a shooting big man also in free agency, unless Luke Cornett develops or something. My number 2 team for Zion is the Dallas Mavericks. Zion on the Mavs would be one of the most fun league pass teams in the league. You would have a lineup of Zion, Porzingis, and Luka next to some role players whose job is to stay at the 3-point line and play defense while that big 3 can run pick and pops and pick and rolls all game, mixed in with other actions. Porzingis is a stretch 5, so this will give Zion the space he never had in college. Him and Luka can slash to the rim and kick out the shooters. The Mavs don't exactly play at the fastest pace, and bringing in Porzingis doesn't help that, so they're going to have to adjust some things. Since the trade deadline, the Mavs have been tanking quietly so they can increase their odds of getting back into the top 5. If their pick falls out of the top 5, the pick goes to Atlanta. The pick has a 9% chance at being number 1, so it's kind of a long shot, but we don't know how the lottery odds are going to work. They might work in Dallas's favor. There are some possible negatives that I would pay attention to though. Is there clashes for the ball at times? Porzingis loves to ISO, he loves to play from the elbow, and let's not forget, dude demanded a trade with not much equity in the league. I would slightly worry about the mix of the 3, and it probably wouldn't have anything to do with Zion. But fortunately for Dallas, they seem to have a good front office, good head coach, so I'm sure they'll make it work. My number 1 team for Zion Williamson is the Atlanta Hawks. They almost check off every single box of what I want a team to do when they field a starting 5 around Zion. The Hawks play with the 2nd fastest pace in the NBA according to Basketball Reference. The Hawks average about 104 possessions per game. It's self-explanatory. Putting Zion on the 2nd fastest team in the NBA would unlock a lot of his strengths as a player. He will be able to get easy buckets in transition, whether that's as a scorer or someone that's pushing the ball and makes the pass. It would also alleviate some early growing pains of trying to score in the half court when defense can load up on Zion. Trae Young is 2nd in the NBA in total assists. He's already one of the more creative and chaotic playmakers in the league. Pairing 2 chaotic players like Zion and Trae is ideal. If you're a big, it's very hard to consistently create your own offense unless you're a Nikola Jokic level of passer, which Zion is not. Now Zion isn't technically a big, but having a point guard like Trae will ease some growing pains. They can help each other out if they're both having bad shooting nights. The John Collins and Zion fit could be weird at times, but John has shown some ability to stretch the floor. He is taking about 3 threes per game on 31% shooting. The Hawks in the past 2.5 months have been really fun, and they're scoring like 120 points like every other game. Things could be looking really up for Atlanta this summer. They have cap space, they have a shot at the number 1 pick, and the 6th pick if the odds don't work out for Dallas. Adding Zion next to Trey, Kevin Huerter, and John Collins would make them a top 3 league pass team for me. What's been cool about Zion's rise is that he's been able to reel in supporters from every corner of the basketball world. The people who have hated Duke their entire lives enjoy watching him play, people who judge players by the eye test like Zion, and the advanced stats crowd loves him because he grades out well in pretty much every statistical category. I can't wait to see him in the league, and I hope it's an East Coast team. It's going to be funny when none of these teams get the number 1 pick and Memphis gets it or something. So let me know if you agree with my rankings, and if you change anything. I'll see you guys soon.